Do you know that there is a new paradigm of feminine prosperity? And do you know that you can anchor into this new paradigm of feminine prosperity through healing the never enough wound? This core wound, were often associated with the mother wound, can disconnect you from the true source of your own power, beauty, and intrinsic value as a woman. When this happens, you can find yourself holding back, playing small, looping through many doubts and seeking approval, while never fully landing in the flourishing frequency of the woman you were born to be. That's why today I invited an expert who will share the secret of healing the never enough wound. Grow your wealth, live on your terms. Hello, powerful people. Welcome to the Conversations with Experts, the show that connects you with experts in different areas of life. Our intention is to help you be your best self and create your best rich life. I'm Millen, Livis, the host of the show and international holistic financial mentor. Here's the thing. There are two kinds of people in the world. Those who spend their whole lives working just to make ends meet, and those who enjoy the freedom in their lives because they figured out how to make their money work for them. If you don't want to worry about money when you are in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, then stop wasting time and start planning your way to financial independence right now. So go ahead and download the Wealth Planner for free. Here's the link where you can download it and start working your way through this Wealth Planner right away. All right. And now let's go back to our topic today, which is how to heal the never enough wound. And my magnificent guest today is Tara Preston. Welcome, Tara. So happy to have you with us.
Yeah, I am very excited to be here and to be here with your community. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And you look beautiful as always.
Oh,
I love
too.
how bright, thank you. I love how bright you look right now. So let me introduce you because you are quite an amazing person and you're very modest. Your bio is, like I said to you earlier, is the shortest I ever seen. So Tara Preston is a mentor to new paradigm feminine leaders and founder of the Akashic Women School. She is guiding women through major life transformations that pave the way for their next level of leadership and legacy work in the world, all while rooting deeply into the power of their divine feminine magic. I love it, absolutely love it. Everything about divine feminine magic is fascinating to me. So it's such a gift to have this opportunity to talk to you today. So let's start from the beginning. Let's hear from you. How do you define feminine prosperity?
Well, I define feminine prosperity as living from a place of fulfillment. It's really being able to create and receive prosperity in our businesses, but from a cup where we're overflowing, right? So for me, even when I, stepped onto this path a decade ago, for the first few years, I was really stuck in the push, go, like never feeling like enough. And it was really, I had carried forward like a lot of patterns from like my 9-to-5 job. And I really never was operating from that cup where I felt full. It was just, I was constantly kind of like running out of energy and never feeling like enough and just tired and kind of going back and forth between like maybe feeling a bit connected, but then feeling disconnected because I was just so busy and kind of like running on empty in my business. So that's kind of, what we still see a lot of that. That's where I've come from. But through the course of my journey, it was really about anchoring in to this place of feminine prosperity where I could make money, where I could live from a place of spaciousness, where I could be present with my daughter, where I could live from a place of having more than enough energy. And part of the piece that really snapped that all together was healing that wound of like never feeling like enough. So it really allowed me to anchor into a very different kind of frequency and foundation. And when I did that, prosperity also started to show up in a different way for me.
So when you say feminine prosperity, you're not talking just about financial prosperity. You're talking about feeling inside as a woman, as a person, fully alive, right? Fully
Yes, yes,
like fulfilled just because you are alive, right? And just
yes,
feeling like you value yourself. And so it's a
yeah,
combination of self-love and self-compassion and all of this stuff, right? That's
yeah.
the energetic state.
Well, in living in alignment with your deeper core, I call them core feminine values. Women tend to have a different value system than a lot of the way that our society has been built, which is on more of like the hyper masculine the wounded masculine aspect. So when I sit with women, and I've, done that for many, many years now, and we start to sink into, well, what matters to you? What do you care about in your family unit? What do you care about in your community? How do you want to design your life? Like, what would feed and nourish you? And so oftentimes it's like space for more intimacy, like space for more self-care, space for creative pursuits, space for maybe even just like more of like their truth. So it's like really being able to like create the connect to it, first of all. So the connection piece is part of it, being able to connect to it, and then being able to actually design our lives from that kind of root system, but have money meet us there. And for like a lot of women, that's like, we've been conditioned to believe that like our prosperity and our money can only meet us from the place of like working hard, or maybe our education, or it just depends on like what we're pulling from, when real.
Marriage, right? Too.
Yes,
Marry a
totally.
wealthy person,
Yes.
partner.
That's a big one.
That's
Yeah,
a
for
big one.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's feminine prosperity, being able to live in the fullness of our purpose, and have money meet us in that place.
So beautiful. So how would you describe the difference between the never enough energetic state and
Mhm.
more than enough energetic state?
Well, the never enough energetic state comes from a place of lack, which is kind of like what we see, most of society living in that hamster wheel, kind of like paycheck to paycheck. There's never enough time, never enough money, never enough energy. And that's one energetic state. And at the very like root of that, and I believe this is kind of like the core wound on the planet, is like that never enough wound. We're just constantly pushing outside of ourselves, feeling like that finally, if something externally will finally fix that, we can finally have enough. But it goes so much deeper than that, right? It goes into the core of who we are. And so for me, like the Akashic work has been such a foundation piece too. And over the last decade, I've done like 6,000 soul level sessions. So I really started to like see how deep that core wound is, and how it really affects so much of every person's life, but of how it really affects women, and what the origins of it are. And the origins of it are deep, and it runs through, our ancestry, it runs through our history on the planet. So the other energetic state is the more than enough state. And I like more than enough. For me, it was like I never felt like enough, then I felt like enough, and then I had enough, and I was like, I could kind of see that mirrored in my experience. But then when I deepened into like more than enough, like I am a divine feminine woman, I have beauty, I have gifts to bring to the world, I have wisdom. All of these things have a ton of value, and again, we don't live in a world that generally places value on some of the feminine principles like pleasure. Um, so, so I just lost my train of thought because a message just popped on my on my screen. The more than enough energetic state. Yeah, it was really about having more than enough energy, really starting to feel spacious in my life. Like I could create from a place of my feminine power, where I could create from pleasure, where I could create from a space of spaciousness, because I was really starting to really value the core of my essence. And so it freed up a lot of the patterns that were driving me, which essentially was just me seeking approval, or somewhere seeking external evidence of like where I could finally rest and become enough. So yeah.
So many women experience that, like, you know, for some reason, especially for, I mean, some men also have this issue, but many women feel that they need to be approved by the external, by circumstances, by a partner, by boss, by children. Like, you know, we
Totally.
really seeking this approval everywhere. And from what I understand, this not enough energetic state is connected to the mother wound. So could you please share in what way this mother wound is connected to the state, and how does it affect our leadership in the world as women?
Yes, and that was exactly it. I mean, we do have so much conditioning around just the feminine, like, and being in like kind of more of that like good girl energy, and seeking approval from that place. So what I uncovered for myself, and through, you know, working on behalf of the feminine, and working deeply with women, is I started to see the core essence of this never enough pain kind of I could see it trickle through our ancestry. And I could also see it kind of like in the overarching history of the planet. And so from a soul level perspective, the divine feminine energy has actually been suppressed on the planet for like a good 5,000 years. And we see that and we feel that in the scope of our ancestry, and also along our soul path. And so for me, working in the Akashic records, I work at soul level. We do past life work. And I could also see where the different soul experiences that women were having, where they were experiencing suppression and pain and all the conditioning that we still kind of see woven into our collective and in our own experience. And so it was the suppression and the pain of the feminine. It's the loss of the goddess energy on the planet. It gets carried forward. And so very often for a young woman, if I'm working with a client, let's just say, she may feel like her dreams were never validated as a young woman. Like she was really never seen in her beauty, or maybe her unique genius or her brilliance. And sometimes it's like, you know, we just wish that maybe our mothers could have like really like seen and like loved us in that unconditional space, but we didn't always get that. And also our mothers didn't also get, like, they also didn't get that, and their mothers also didn't get that. So there's this,
They just didn't know any better. So it's not like they didn't want to, they
know
just didn't know any better. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, there can be like a lot of energetic dynamics at play there. But one of the ways that I really started to like heal that for myself was like kind of like relinquishing like where I had like blame really like towards my own mother. And I really started to turn the face of the goddess, the love of the goddess, and really waking that divine feminine energy up within myself, and really starting to see and love and cherish the beauty that I was. And really coming into that space of presence is really the antidote of like healing the never enough wound, right? Because the never enough
It's funny
wound,
because that was my question. I actually wanted to ask you, like, how do we heal this never enough wound? So keep going.
It's presence. And by the very nature of the feminine is presence. She's like sacredness. She's the state of being. She's pleasure. She's presence. She's love.
Nurturing.
She's
Nurturing.
Yeah, nurturing. So we're bringing that to ourselves, but we live in the go do. Like we've totally swung into the hyper masculine. So we've disconnected from like a very core part of like our feminine energy. And so presence is the antidote, and bringing that love and that compassion and holding that mirror up to ourselves is where we actually start to kind of heal that, like in a really big way. We sometimes seek that external we seek for it externally. So when we can turn the mirror around towards ourselves, we begin to bring that love and compassion to the essence of who we are. And that's the very beginning. And of course, there's so many layers to
Yeah, of
sometimes really
course.
getting to the root of that. Yeah, but that is definitely the antidote. Yeah, slowly. And the other piece too, go ahead, you have a question and I'll
No,
highlight
no,
this
no. I
piece.
just wanted, yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to ask you how this not enough wound or never enough wound affects people in terms of practical, like money
Yeah.
experiences.
Um, well, because it becomes very hard to show up in our power. Like for me, and I'll give myself, I guess, as an example, like, way back when, but when I didn't feel enough, I didn't value for me, when I work with women, I think at the core of stepping out with our sacred work, because it's different than a 9 to 5 job. We're bringing, and whatever, even I've worked with women in corporate, but it's like really comes to that place of like valuing our innate wisdom, like valuing the truth, the beauty of who we innately are, and starting to actually like identify what it is and understanding how to value it ourselves, because we again don't live in a society that really honors that or sees that. So when I didn't have when I had not healed that wound, I just constantly would hide. Like I'd hide, and that's a very common piece. And when we hide, when we're not able to really fully show up in our power, really feeling rooted into that intrinsic sense of beauty and value of who we are, we do tend to hide. And when we hide, money can't find us. Like we kind of end up chasing money. Money can't find us when we're not fully rooted in that. Neither can opportunities, neither can clients, right? We tend to kind of like hide. So this became like a really important piece for me to be able to show up for money and to know that I was like worthy and more than enough of having money meet me in the space of my purpose.
Wow, how amazing energetic state connects to our physical experiences, and money is one of these experiences. And maybe you could expand on what you just described in terms of how this never enough wound affects people, women who have businesses.
Your last word cut out. Sorry, say that again. How it
How
affects
it
businesses.
affects women who own businesses or offer some services.
Yeah, so in so many ways, but I think it prevents a lot of women from fully showing up in their leadership through the vehicles of their businesses. It prevents them from asking to be paid well for what it is that they're putting out in the world. And it prevents them from actually putting out their best work, like the work that probably is going to open up like a huge channel of abundance, but we don't fully like value what it is that we're being called to put out. So it prevents us from like putting our best work out to the world. I see this a lot with women who create programs and then they sit on it for like ever. And I'm like, why are you sitting on this? This is like gold. Well, I don't know who's going to want it,
Yeah.
So there's many different layers to it. Yeah, go ahead.
So it's like when you feel that there is never enough, it's not only that you don't have enough, it's you don't feel enough. And when you don't feel enough, it's the next logical state is like, of course, I'm not good enough. So who will buy it from me? Who will trust me? And like you described that when people hide, it's very hard to be discovered, right? Because you're hiding. So it's like a catch-22, and you feel like, but it's just the way I feel inside. People will not notice, and you just try to carry on, and it's actually very noticeable because we all feel energy, right? It's not just something that we have to see, we feel it. and people feel this energy, feel when you yourself have this inner critic that
Yes.
constantly whispers, you're not good enough, you're not
Yeah.
capable or whatever to be successful,
Mm-hmm.
etc., right? So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much, Tara. It's a
You're so
fascinating topic.
welcome.
I absolutely love this topic. And I know that you have a gift for us, for our audience
Mm-hmm.
today. So could you please tell us a little bit about this? And I will put
Yes,
the
for sure.
link on the screen as well.
Yeah. So it is the Akashic Wisdom 21-day journal. And this is perfect for there's lots of reasons why this is so beautiful. And one, because it drops you in for 21 days into the Akashic field, into a sacred space. So talk about, that space of like being and coming into heart-centeredness. And also there's 21 days of actual like Akashic journaling that connects you to the infinite field of the Akashic wisdom and allows you to kind of get, clarity around where you also may be stuck in terms of your value, your intrinsic value, your beauty, your truth, or whatever the next steps are along your sacred path. And you can find that at akashicwomenschool.com/Akashic journal.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I think many people, many women will benefit from really taking time and having this introspective experience over 21 days. And there is a reason for 21 days, I believe as well, right? That's the time when the time we need to change old habits and old behaviors and things like that. So beautiful gift. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today.